Hey everyone, what is going on? And welcome back to another meta guide. So we already covered the Open Ultra League. We're now looking at the Ultra League Premier Cup. So the Ultra League Premier Cup basically bans Legendary Pokemon, Mythical Pokemon, and Ultra Beast. You can use anything else as long as it's 2500 or below CP, including XL Pokemon. So Pokemon up to level 50, you can use for sure. But let's go ahead and dive right into it and see what we got going on for us. So for the S rank, Steelix, yes, Steelix is going to be really strong. It's so tanky. If you have a good one, which I don't, but if you have a good one, a good rank one, it's going to be really thick. It could take hits, it could dish out some damage with that Dragon Tail, the Psychic Fangs as well, great debuffing move, and then of course Cruncher, Earthquake, whichever, I guess depends on your team, but yeah, really strong Pokemon, definitely ranked number 1. Shadow Steelix as well. Then we have Galarian Stunfisk, a great Pokemon, of course, with the Mud Shot, Rock Slide, Earthquake. You guys know Galarian Stunfisk, it's a great Pokemon, of course. Then we have Scrafty, definitely the best fighter in my opinion in this meta, but it does have to be XL'd, keep that in mind. So yeah, really strong Pokemon. Counter Power Punch, Foul Play, does a lot of damage. It can power through a lot of Pokemon, and it's really thick too. Then we have Pidgeot. So Pidgeot did receive the Wing Attack buff this season, as we all know. I'm sure you've seen it in the Open Ultra League. But yeah, I mean, great Pokemon. You do want a Hundo, you do want it Best Buddied, you do want it level 50, so it might be a little bit expensive. Well, not a little bit, it definitely is expensive, but it might be a little bit difficult to get. Although Pidgey is a pretty common Pokemon, really common actually, so maybe you have it, maybe you have a lot of XLs, hopefully you have a good one, but it's really good. Love the Wing Attack, love the Feather Dance. Then we have Swampert or Shadow Swampert. Yeah, I mean, really good Pokemon. Of course, you all know Swampert, right? Of course you do. So that's going to be the S tier. Now let's move on to the A tier. We have Aurorus. So Aurorus did receive Meteor Beam this season. So looking pretty good for Aurorus. Yeah, if you're looking for a strong Ice type, Aurorus is definitely a good way to go. Then we have a couple fighters, Sirfetch'd and Shadow Machamp, or the regular Machamp. I like the Shadow one for the damage. These are non-XL ones, so if you're looking for a non-XL strong fighting type, one of these definitely a good way to go if you don't have the resources to invest in the Scrafty, right? If you want to go with Machamp, really strong Pokemon, really powerful. Definitely flimsy, both of them. They're pretty frail, but outside of that, they're really strong, and they hit like absolute trucks, both of them. Then we have a Dragon Tail user. We have Kommo-o, so doing a lot of damage, you know, getting to the charge moves pretty fast, pretty strong Pokemon. Trevenant is another great Pokemon, of course. We've seen Trevenants for so many seasons. I feel like it's bumped down a little bit thanks to the flyers like Pidgeot and Charizard, but it's still really strong, and you're still definitely going to see it. I see it in the Open Ultra League all the time. And yeah, I mean, really strong Pokemon. Then we have Gliscor, another Pokemon that received the Wing Attack buff. I love using Shadow Gliscor, to be honest. It's really strong. And it gets to those moves well, it gets to the Night Slash fast, you know, and then it has Earthquake as a heavy hitting attack. So great bait move, great Pokemon all around. Then for the B tier, we do have Obstagoon. So another, it's not a fighting type, but it's like a counter user, right? So pretty good Pokemon. It does have to watch out for other fighting types because it is double weak to fighting. So that's its big threat. Obviously, Charm users like Alola Ninetales are definitely dangerous for it, but no, I mean, it's going to be doing well against some of the top picks like Steelix and Galarian Stunfisk. It even has play against Swampert and Pidgeot as well. Scrafty, it's doing super effective damage towards, but it's also taking double super effective damage, and they have Power Punch to boost the counter damage. So you do have to watch out for that, but it's going to be doing well against the Ice types as well, like Aurorus, right? And Trevenant. So it actually is pretty good Pokemon. Then we have Double. I really need XL candies for this. Unfortunately, I don't have enough, not even close to it. So you're not going to be seeing me run it, but I think it's a great safe swap. Obviously, a double kick, you know, another fighting type. It's not a fighting type again, like Obstagoon, but it is a fighting. It does have the double kick, so that's the fighting move, and then it gets to the body slam pretty fast, and then Wild Charge or Payback. I see Payback most of the time. So yeah, I mean, great save swap, definitely a tanky Pokemon. Then we have Wolverine. So Wolverine was nerfed last season. That Icicle Spear, still a really strong Pokemon, especially in the Ultra League. I do see it quite often in the Open Ultra League. I think it's going to be really good as well in the Ultra Premier Cup. Then we have Charizard. Charizard, of course, with that Wing Attack buff, it is a legacy move. Keep that in mind. Same with the Pidgeot, but you know, Charizard I think is a pretty strong pick, and yeah, I mean, a really good one at that. So getting to the moves relatively fast, especially the Dragon Claw, great bait move, great powerful Pokemon, Charizard or Shadow Charizard. Then we have Dragonite or Shadow Dragonite. It does have play now thanks to Superpower against the Steel types, so Dragonite definitely probably see it a decent amount of times. I mean, it's doing well against a lot of things outside of the ice and types. It's doing pretty well, I would say. And then we have a Alolan Ninetales. So the thing about Alolan Ninetales is, well, first of all, it can be Shadow now. But aside from that, you know, Powder Snow, you might think Charm. You could go with Charm, but Powder Snow is really good as well. Getting to those Weather Balls pretty fast. It has play against Galarian Stunfisk, because if you're running Powder Snow, obviously, it even has play against the Charizard, right? Charizard, because the Powder Snow and Weather Balls are going to be doing neutral damage. So, yeah, pretty good Pokemon. I mean, Charm or Powder Snow, depending on your team. And then moving on to the other options, we do have Lucario. I don't think Lucario is going to see much play, but it's another fighter for you. Really, really squishy, but it's a non-XL fighter. Then we have a Abomasnow, another ice type. I think Aurorus and Wolverine probably a little bit better, but you know, I mean, we might see this. Obviously, the grass typing is not that bad. Pretty good, I would say. On this Abomasnow. Pelipper does have to be XL'd, so watch out for Pelipper. Is best buddied, XL'd, pretty pricey. Could be fun to use, still pretty squishy, even though it's an XL Pokemon, but you know, it could be fun to use in the Ultra League. Obviously, that wing attack buff. Then we have another counter user, Escavalier. So Escavalier looking pretty strong. Great safe swap, another great fighter. I think. I mean, obviously, he has to watch out for the Charizard, but still, I mean, pretty solid pick. Then we have Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, of course, as we know, Mandibuzz is a really thick tank. Miltank. Speaking of tank, right, Miltank is another decent one. Even in the Ultra League, it has counter and roll out, whichever move you choose to go with as the fast move. So, you know, Body Slam, it gets to the moves pretty fast. So, definitely could see some play. I battled it like once or twice this season. Not too common, but not too bad. Mantine, if you have the XLs for it, go for it. I don't know how many XLs I have for it. I doubt it's enough, obviously. But, you know, Mantine is another wing attack buff user. So, you know, Bubble Beam obviously debuff the opponent, and then Ice Beam hitting for a good amount of damage. And I mean, being an XL Pokemon, it is pretty tanky. Then we have Snorlax, or Shadow Snorlax, always a great safe swap. We all know Snorlax. Greedent, same way. I feel like Greedent is a really great safe swap as well. Tentacruel does have that Scald now with, Poison Jab, Poison Jab, Scald, and then Acid Spray. Dragalge is another Dragon Tail user, so Dragalge, another, if you want to go with another Dragon type, Dragalge is the way to go. I'm liking Dragonite and kommo-o for the coverage, right, because you have the fighting type moves on both of them to hit the steel types, but, you know, Dragalge is another option, and then we have Drapion or Shadow Drapion, usually always a great safe swap. But anyway, that's going to be the Ultra League Premier Cup for you. Let's go ahead and move on to the solid team options. So, for the first team, we have Charizard in the lead with Trevenant and Wolverine. Trevenant and Wolverine always make a great core. You could go with another ice type, I guess, like Aurorus over the Wolverine if you want to. But, yeah, I mean, great core. Obviously, the backline going to struggle to Scrafty as well as Obstagoon. But Charizard is resisting the counter damage. So, you could lord out one of those out with Wolverine. Wolverine's still doing a good amount of damage with the Icicle Spears, right, against either of those. And then finish it off with Charizard. And then Trevenant is looking pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, pretty good team, I think. Pretty strong team. Then next up, we have Scrafty in the lead with double flyers. So, Charizard and Pidgeot. So, yeah, obviously, I mean, the backline kind of going to struggle against steel types. Charizard does have play because of Blast Burn, but it is wall. You know, the wing attacks are walled by the steel types. But no, I mean, you could switch into Charizard maybe, lure out a possible answer, then Scrafty could maybe finish up off the steel type. Yeah, I mean, just a standard ABB team. I think it's pretty strong. Then next up, we have another ABB team. We have a double steel team with Galarian Stunfisk and Steelix in the back. Now, again, Earthquake or Crunch on Steelix. It's really up to you. You do get to the Crunch attacks faster. I'd probably go with, I don't know, I mean, Crunch, but I mean, having Earthquake would be good against, like, the Charm users, because Dragon Tail is double resisted, and Psychic Fangs is a weak move, so you're really not boosting it. So, I mean, having Earthquake would be nice against, I guess, Charm users, but you do have Galarian Stunfisk for the Charm users, or the Fairy types, if you happen to run into them. Of course, Pidgeot is strong against fighting types. If you happen to run into a fighting type, you could maybe lure it out with Galarian Stunfisk and then bring in the Pidgeot afterwards. And Steelix can maybe finish things off. But yeah, I mean, pretty solid team. Next up, we have Gliscor in the lead with Galarian Stunfisk and Swampert. So obviously, this team is kind of weak to water. Not kind of, it is weak to water. But here's the thing. Gliscor can even beat Swampert, just going Wing Attacks, Night Slash, because if it's going up against a non-Shadow Swampert, it could take the Hydro Cannon. I'm not sure if it could take it from a Shadow one. It depends. Like, if you're running a Shadow Gliscor, it might not be able to take it. A Hydro Cannon from a Shadow one. Maybe if you're running the regular one. I personally like the Shadow one. So even if you run into a Water type, what Water type are you going to run into? You're going to run into Swampert, right? I would say Swampert is probably going to be the Water type you run into. And if you happen to run into it, it's not the worst matchup in the world. So you can still handle it. If you want to, you could put the Gliscor in the back and have, I guess, the Swampert in the lead. And then maybe lure out something with, like, lure out the possible Water type, safe swap the Gliscor, lure in, if they happen to have a Swampert, they'll switch into Swampert. You could still possibly win that matchup, and at least you get the Swampert out of the way. So that could be an option for you, but no, a pretty interesting team there. Then next up, we have Glorious Stunfisk with Double Dragon in the lead. So Double Dragon, of course, going to be weak to the Charm users. It's going to be weak to Ice types. That's why Glorious Stunfisk with the Rock Slide is super effective towards Ice type Pokemon, and it's also resisting Charm if you happen to run into Charm as well. And then the final team is going to be Alola Ninetales with Powder Snow, Scrafty, and Swampert. So you have Swampert obviously for the fire coverage, like Charizard. Scrafty, its moves are resisted. Alola Ninetales actually doesn't do that bad against Pokemon like Charizard, because if it has Powder Snow plus Weather Ball is going to be doing some nice neutral damage, right? So it's actually not that bad against Charizard. Obviously, if they bait you with Dragon Claw, it's a little bit unfortunate, but you know, if you happen to lead into a Charizard, you just stay put and you could do okay against it. But anyway, that's going to be Ultra League Premier Cup. Let me know what team is your favorite. Let me know what team you plan on using. Also, let me know, are you playing in the Open Ultra League or the Ultra League Premier Cup? Both of them are going to be littered with XL Pokemon, I'm sorry to say, but that is, for the most part, going to be the case. But there are good non-XL Pokemon you could use as well. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.